I'm Chelsea Pitman and I play for the England Roses as well as the London Pulse. And how I got involved with netball was when I was 10, I played rugby league, rugby union because I wanted to be like my brother. And I remember a teacher at school, at primary school, said, "Can you please give a female sport a go and give netball a go for the winter at school?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And then fell in love with the game and haven't looked back since. So I was born and bred in Sydney, Australia. And yeah, I just think back then, I'm 34 now, so back then a girl playing rugby was quite odd and everyone gave you funny looks. And I remember I had to get permission from the league to be able to play with the boys. It was this big hoo-ha to me. It was just, I want to play with my mates and beat my brother at his chosen sport. So I think the beauty of sport now for females and women, they can play whatever they want and they're not questioned about it, and there's pathways and ways to go about it. But yeah, I'm really glad that maybe my opportunity was pushed towards netball because so far I've had such a great career and really enjoyed it. My dad's English, so that's how I'm eligible to play for England, and I came over here in 2015 and played for Manchester Thunder, and I had previously represented Australia, and because of the rules to play for another country you have to sit out for 4 years. Wasn't selected for a few years with Australia and fell out of love with the game anyway, so I came over here to try and find that passion again, and I did. And at the time my club coach was Tracy Neville, and then she got the job, and then I guess conversations started from there on my interest on would I want to play for England. And yeah, with that just I guess transferred into yeah, let's do this, and put myself up for selection. And it was probably the best decision I've ever made, and it's something that I feel so proud to say that I play for England, and the pride I feel every time I get selected. And I feel like I'm at home because the girls welcomes me with open arms because we've got a weird, unique, eclectic bunch, and I slotted right in because I'm a bit of a weirdo myself. I think I remember when I first became a part of the Roses and culture and talking about who we are and what we want to be off the court or seen as, or what do we want our environment to be, was really, really important. So we did a lot of work on ourselves and what does this look like and what does it feel, because it's really hard to talk about a culture. It is a feeling, it's a vibe, and people from the outside will see I guess a perception of what we want to be seen as, and that's something that I think there's the X factor that makes you successful, and culture plays a part in that, because I look at it as culture is your savings account. So you're putting in little bits along the way that create this environment that when things are tough, you bank on that to be like, we've got enough there for us to be able to like weather the storm. So culture for me is the savings account, and the beauty about Roses is we are unique. We have such passion, but we also enjoy what we do, and we want to have fulfillment by doing it. So I think if we don't have the fun with what we do, we don't see success. So it's about finding and enjoying the little things, the company, having weird quirks, and I guess things we like to do around dinner time. They're all little things that make our culture so special. We have like when you're on tour, weird and wonderful things happen, or people just do stupid things. So we have like a loser award and a hero award. So if you do something that's really stupid, you get nominated at dinner, and it's just like a bit of a funny way to be like, oh my gosh, you didn't forget your shoes for training, or you turned up at the wrong venue. Just, I guess, I won't give away too many of the secrets of what you would get nominated for. And then you got the hero award of like celebrating little achievements. So for example, 2 girls also on tour in January signed off on a mortgage and bought their first house. So that's a hero award. You put them up for nomination, and whoever, we sing a song and there's a crown. It's it's quite fun. And yeah, so it happens every few days when on tour. We definitely have the fun side of it down packed, but I guess when we're at training, that's when I guess if you want to call it masculine, I'll still call it feminine. It's just us being athletes is white line fever. Like, we understand that we're there, we've got a job to do, and we need to be at an intensity that's going to be compared to what we'll come up against internationally. So if I turn up to training and I just want to be there for fun and I don't actually bring it, my teammate's going to pull me up and say, what's going on? Like, that's not how you play, so bring it to me at training. And that's, again, culture is setting your standards, making sure that you're accountable, and also you're going to pull your teammate up to be like, that's not good enough, let's go. So it's about finding the balance of, here's the fun, maybe the fun's in the warm-up, but then as soon as it's like go time and we're working on our technical, tactical stuff, that we make sure that we're there for business and we walk off that court being that little bit better. I think, like for myself, it's about being realistic of where you are personally or the team, and because there's times where the inner sanctum, so the team will understand where we're going, the vision, why things are getting done or combinations are being played. And then there's outside noise that will be questioning that and having their own opinion, thinking what's going on. But it's because they aren't aware of why we are doing things, that's when you've got to block that out. So if things are going not positive or you're personally not, it's outside noise that's going to make things worse. So for me, I make sure that lock it down, switch off, make sure that I'm focused on what I'm doing, what the team's doing. And I think it's just about building that resilience of you're not always going to be perfect, and actually the perfect game doesn't exist. It's just aiming for that and making sure that if you're in a lull, that's what I'll call it, you do your video analysis, you do your 1%, but you don't overthink things, because you got here for a reason, and I know myself, I got here for a reason, and my skill doesn't disappear or change. It's just the mental side of it. So work on that, and then hopefully the next time you step out there, you get the flow back, you get the confidence back, and you just do what you do best. Get frustrated sometimes with, I guess, again, it's the outside noise of people thinking that the game defines you and your performance defines you, but consistency is what will define you. If you consistently play 10 terrible games, yeah, maybe that's your defining moment that your season's not great. But it's about you're a person first and foremost, and finding the best way for you to find that balance to, yes, be the athlete, be your best and be at competitive best, but also are you happy and healthy in other aspects of your life? Because you can give 100% to it, but you need to be able to filling up your cup with other things, because again, we're humans, it's tough. People have opinions on everything and it's just about putting on your blinkers on your ears and your eyes and just doing what you do. Lots of different routes and different pathways, and I guess my biggest bit of advice is you don't know who's watching you when. So if you're playing just a club game or you think no one's watching, you just don't know. So make sure that you turn up, you play well, you train hard, you have a good work ethic, and you have a good presence about yourself. If you are the best player but have a bratty attitude, people see that, because I think hard work and perseverance will at one time overall people with natural talent. So it's about finding what works for you, and also be okay with asking your coach, like, this is my dream, how do I go about it? And if they don't know, they will hopefully ask someone and help you get there, because you never know what's going to happen. And like I said, just you don't know who's watching. So ask the questions, like have open ears, be open to growth, and just enjoy whatever comes your way. It's hard work, but it's worth it. I think as netball has grown as a sport, and I've been in it for quite a long time, every single year the competition is getting more elite, and I mean that in the strength of what the girls are putting out there, their fitness levels, everything is getting to a point where if you don't have your S&C down packed and your strength and conditioning coach working one-on-one with them and making sure you're doing everything possible for your body to be robust enough to be able to withstand the demands of this sport, you're going to get injured or you're just going to get left behind. So for me, S&C is just as important as my skills on court. It's just as important as my mental health, making sure I'm working with my sports psych. I just look at it as you connecting the dots. If you miss out one, then you're going to have like a gap in your circle, or whatever shape you want to call it, with the dots. So for me, and also S&C is where I love it. Like, I find it extremely challenging when I have a new strength program or I want to lift heavier or run faster. It's just about making sure that there's a process, there's a purpose, and I guess, trusting whoever's setting it out for you that there's a reason for it, and just getting it done. You need to do it to be best. Perform better, it's really good. So with England, when we're on tour, we move around from hotel to hotel, and sometimes public facilities are not what's best for us to be able to get in to train as a team, and also if you're doing extras or top-ups. So Perform Better are amazing. They kit out the hotel where we're at and make sure that we have our own facilities that are elite. They allow us to do proper training, Olympic style lifts, without necessarily being in the public domain, because we're obviously on tour, we want to lock it down, we want to make sure that we don't have any outside noise, as well as like health. Like COVID's in the past now, but it's still very present, and so we need to make sure that we're in an environment where we're safe and able to just train and get it done. And we want to train when we are able to. That works with our programming and scheduling for us to be best, because sometimes a public gym will be like, oh, you can only come at this time, and that's not ideal for us when we're on tour. And also Perform Better, I live with Jade, Clarke, and it's absolutely amazing that they have kitted out our house with a watt bike, some kettlebells, dumbbells, a lifting mat and some hurdles. So Jade and I have no excuses to not be able to get in an extra session, jump on to do off-feet conditioning with the watt bike. So all those little things are really, really important for us to be, because it's World Cup year. We want to be at our absolute prime. So if I'm sitting on the couch and I know that I've got an off-feet conditioning session to do, I've got to do 3 steps, and I've got no choice but to get it done. So we've got our domestic seasons at the moment, so making sure that we focus in on our club level, but also making sure that we still connect as Roses. We're still making sure that we're working on the culture away from each other, because they're things we can do. And World Cup's in July leading into August. So I guess for me personally is to make sure that I'm at my physical best and tactical best for me to put my best foot forward to be selected. So that's, and you know what, as a team, we want to win. We're not going to the World Cup just to compete, because we are hungry netballers that want that gold medal.
My name is Jade Clarke. I play for the England Roses. I'm 39 now. I've been playing for Roses since I was 18, 19, so it's been such a big part of my life. I got started netball when I was 9. My mum was great at just giving me opportunities. She got me into so many different sports, but netball was always the one I loved the most. I just found it like really aggressive and fast, and I loved that it was a team sport. But yeah, I did all sorts. Did like cross country, athletics, hockey, everything. But yeah, I've just always loved netball. I started in school. We didn't have a netball team at the time, so I nagged my mum to go and start some sessions at school. And then when I was 9, I joined a club outside of school. A lady called Jean Lee, my first netball coach, she created a whole netball club in like 1992, I think it was, in Moss Side in Manchester, and I absolutely loved it. And then moved on to play for Oldham when I was a bit older, and like moved through the ranks and got an England trial when I was like 15 for the younger teams. Just been playing ever since. Oldham Netball Club was run by Mike Greenwood. He was an ex-army man, so he really like instilled loads of discipline in us. He had like big on fitness, had us training all the times, and I think that really instilled in me that you've got to practice more than your opponents. You've got to be professional in everything you do. He always would say like netball and boys don't mix, like don't come to training scruffy. So all these little sayings like that you remember in your mind. And we just had great memories, like creating a club from scratch and going through the ranks and trying to like climb the Premier Leagues. And so yeah, I had great memories from my time old. My experiences then from being like at Oldham and Trafford Netball Club is like how great it feels to be part of the team. So I think that team culture and being bigger than something than yourself, like the success of the club was always at the forefront, and I think I've taken that into my England career. It's not about you, it is about the team, and you've got to put your own feelings aside sometimes and like be there for the team and be supportive and keep driving the team forwards. It's just a nice feeling when you're not focused on yourself and you're focused on helping others. I like if the young people come into the team, you're helping them like to strive for better. And even if it's someone you're competing with, if you're both helping each other be better, it's a great feeling than thinking, oh, like I'm looking after myself and I'm trying to push you down. It's about bringing everyone through. And I think it's about when I leave the Roses, like have I left it in a better place? I think they talk about that in Legacy as well. And I want to finish Roses and be able to watch them and be #1 in the world. It's something we've never achieved, so there's always like something you're striving for more, and hopefully I've helped them do that. It's just been a roller coaster. We had 2018 where we got our gold medal for the first time, and that was like just a huge experience. It's something that was always on my mind. Like as soon as I got in the team from 18, I was like, we want a gold medal, and we were so far away. Like when we first started, losing by 40 goals to Australia and New Zealand, and like slowly just like getting closer towards them, and then getting maybe one win in a few years against them. So it's just a really exciting time, and just a time of just pure like not giving up and resilience. And then since then it's like been so different. Like we're not the underdogs anymore, so like dealing with that and being expected to win, and backing up the Commonwealth Games with a World Cup, which was just an amazing experience. Like I've never seen so many fans like in one city, and just absolutely loving netball. So that was in Liverpool in 2019, and yeah, so and just recently we've had 2 test series back to back. We played Jamaica and then gone out to the quad series, so played the top 5 in the world, and we've had wins and losses, but just so amazing to see like world netball become so much closer. Like the top 5 teams in the world, you just don't know who's going to win on any given day, which is an amazing place to be. It's a period of transition over so many years, and I think for me one of the biggest things is the culture. I remember we did a lot of work before that gold medal on like why we were there, and just being able to share those experiences. I remember we all got in little groups and did a poster on why we were there, and we talked about things like family, wanting to be #1 in the world, like spending our time with people who were all focused towards the same thing, and just really getting to know each other like on and off the court. And I think those experiences really matter. We focused on like having fun. It's not about the old school way of thinking that you just have to punish yourself all the time. So we really used that in our prep for 2018 as well, when we lost a game, and it was a really disappointing game in our warm-up games, and the next day, instead of like isolating each other and not talking about it, we all went on a boat trip which Chelsea organised, and just spent the day together and got connected again. So I think it's sometimes thinking outside the box and having those things that bring a team together. I think I've definitely changed a lot since when I was younger. I think when I was younger, I'd probably overthink it. I'd feel terrible for like a few days after a loss. I think you do still feel terrible, but I think experience shows you that like one game doesn't make or break you, and you've just got to have this deep confidence in yourself, and you can't expect anyone else to have confidence in you. It's got to come from yourself. Like there is lots of people that have confidence in me and supporting me, but at the end of the day I'm responsible for me, and if I had a bad game, I'm going to get myself out of it, and there's always people there to help and people you can draw experiences from. So I think for me it's really connecting with those and asking for help, and like being okay being vulnerable, and saying like what do I need, and finding people to help you. I think there's some aspects that I've always had since I was little. Like my mum instilled in me that, you know, you've got to be a go-getter, you've got to create your own opportunities. So like she would like take me walking the dogs with the field and pass the ball, and just always finding opportunities to do extra practice, and I think I've took that with me, and like always finding the best coaches and being able to ask for help. But I think like on a personal level, always been like self-independent and not wanting to bother people, but I think that side of it is like really developed. Like people want to help you, people want to be bothered, and it's okay to, you know, say what you need and ask others for help. A great question. Like my mum has always been like my biggest champion. If I ring her after a game, she was always there to give me a pep talk, and that's not necessarily what you get from your coach. Your coach is there to give you your feedback, tell you what you've done wrong and how to improve. So I think my family always know I think they're not there to give me critique on my game, they're just there to support me, and also they're there to remind you that you're more than a netballer. So, you know, if something goes wrong at netball, I'm not Jade the netballer, I'm Jade the person, and I've got a lot more going on in my life. I've got a lot of great relationships where like your coaches are a lot different, and I just love the variety of coaches, like from Mike Greenwood, the army guy who just instilled so much discipline, to like supportive coaches that have, you know, had friendships with off the court as well. And I just think there's always something to gain from everyone you meet. It's played a massive part. Like before I got on the squad at 18, I'd not done any SSC, I'd never done a weight session, so that was like a real eye-opener, and just I loved how professional it was, and you had a coach that went through all your weights and you're running, and I've always loved that side of it, and I've always had a good relationship with my S&C coaches, and I think it's so important. And I got a couple of injuries in my early 20s, and now looking back I'm kind of thankful I got those injuries, because like the physio I did for them and what the physios did for me just set me up like for life, and I've touch wood not had many injuries since then, but I think that's the main thing that's become so much more professional, the S&C side and how much we train, and just realising it's got to be consistent, it's got to be every day, whether it's like a rest day or weights or running, you've got to be like professional that day, because you're competing with people in Australia, New Zealand, full-time training, and you've got to be doing like the same and better than them. Our relationship with Perform Better has been absolutely amazing. First came across Perform Better when they drove around to all our houses during lockdown and dropped equipment there, and it was just like really saved us in that time. I think, well, everyone in that time needed like something to do, something to focus on, and we were really worried about what's going to happen to our performance. So just being able to do our regular weight sessions in our gardens, in our living rooms, it was a massive help, and just to have that personal relationship with Perform Better has been amazing. And since then they've just been a massive part of our lives. Like when we go on tour, like we've got a bike, we've got bands, and we're using those bands every single day in our warm-up, so it's been a huge support. And we've got our own like watt bike at home now from Perform Better, and so we can have that accessibility to train whenever we want. And yeah, they've been a brilliant partner for us. Yeah, Perform Better just gave us that edge during lockdown, because our season got cancelled, like we had no other way to train, so like having that support, so we could just keep our base fitness levels up and still be able to push on with one aspect when we couldn't get our hands on a netball and be a team, is so important. I think for young people who want a career in sport, I think it's finding what you're passionate about, and when you know that, you'll want to do the extras. I think that's the big thing for me, is practicing more than other people, doing the extras, but it never felt like work, because I was doing what I loved, like getting a netball and throwing it against the wall and doing the extra training. And now I love the fitness. I love like getting on the bike and doing a fitness session. I love doing the extra rehab, because it just gives you like great endorphins. So if you love a sport, get out there, go and practice it, find coaches that will really help you, and find a group to train with, because well, I always find it's just you just get so much more out of training with a group than training on your own, and you just feel great afterwards.